Welcome, people. Welcome to Rauta and yet another black metal interview here on the channel. This time it's all about traveling, well, mentally anyway, to Belgium with a band called Nether, founded in 2019. But this is not a band with, new guys off the block, but seasoned veterans, more or less, four guys of the band. But since I'm not the person here doing more introductions, welcome our guest. Please introduce yourself to the audience and tell me or tell us the very basics of the band, how Nether got started. How did you four guys end up together playing with this band?
Okay, thank you, Jerry, for this interview. We are Nether, melodic fast black metal from Belgium. My name is Jay, and I play the bass vocals in the band. We have three other members, but as you mentioned, we are not the new kids on the block. We already played in several other bands. Me, myself, started playing metal and black metal in more detail, I think more than 25, 26, 27 years ago. I played in a melodic fast black metal band called Signs of Darkness. I played in that doom band called Insanity Reigns Supreme that recently renamed and restarted under the name Serpent's Oath. One of our guitar players, Kay, was a founding member of a melodic black metal band in Belgium, Necrosis. One of our guitar players, P, already played with me in Signs of Darkness and several other local death metal bands. So you can state that we already made some choices in the past and swim through troubled waters before. I think early 2019, we four guys hang together and found it the right time to again create something new, because at that time Necrosis, the band of K, and Signs of Darkness, my band and Peace band, stopped. Due to several reasons, but when you're playing black metal for some while, 25, 26, 27 years already, that doesn't go away. So it starts pounding inside, and that's why we created something new again, but not that new, but something we stand for, and that's fast melodic black, in the vein of old Swedish bands, with a little bit of a touch or twist with some death vibes in it. And that's the thing we wanted to play. That's the thing we already played before. But with the new guys coming in, like our drummer B, that made a well-known and a good connection, and that's why we created our debut album, Between Shades and Shadows, that was released through the Spanish label RDH Records now, probably almost 1 year ago, and we are really glad with the result of the songs, of the recording, of the artwork. The whole album is the thing we wanted to create when we started, so we are very happy with the result at this moment.
So Nether is a name that kind of sounds very, if you don't mind me saying, kind of a basic, kind of like a name that should or could and probably has been used in the past, but nothing really comes out with the similar names compared to other names which have multiple bands with the same name. How did you end up with this name? What does it mean to you? What's the essence of the name Nether?
Well, the essence of the band and the essence of the lyrical concept is the concept you can see by starting to look at the cover. You can see that in our logo there's a tree. And you can see that on our album, there's a tree. And we as a band are 4 persons that work together, but stand solid in solid ground like a tree does. But the tree has several roots that are deeply integrated in the soil, and every person is formed by its own roots, its own soil, and when you want to make contact with one another, you have to be aware of the soil, the deeper core of every person, and that's why there's that tree with in our logo. That's why the tree is very important in our cover. That's also why the tree and the logo are very strong elements in our band and in our logo and in our lyrics. You can say that the lyrics are of some kind of personal journey, but it's all created around that concept of a person as a solid person standing strong and standing for its beliefs.
You also have this tree cover, I mean, the tree as a photo on the album cover, and as you mentioned on the logo, that could be really leading people to think that you're one of those nature-oriented black metal bands, which are sometimes seen as even like folk black metal or Viking black metal or any kind of like history,
atmospheric,
history-related stuff and stuff like that. But for example, Metal Archives doesn't mention anything about your lyrical topics. And obviously, if you just go into the Bandcamp site by yours, doesn't really have any kind of lyrics. So if you could sum up some of the basic ideas, some of the maybe topics that are most common to you as a band, which kind of words or adjectives you would use?
I think you're right by saying that when you see the tree or in front of a cover, that you think about pagan, atmospheric, folk related black metal bands, but that's not the thing we stand for. That's what I stated already before. By trying to answer your question, what are the main lyrical themes? When you see the song titles, for example, To the Shores is a song about persons that of people that are somehow lost in society, lost in themselves, lost in the world that it as a big place, standing at the shore, trying to choose, what do I have to do? Do I have to go into the water in troubled waters? Can I go back to the real world and take up what I stand for? That's one idea behind one of the songs. A song like Mouth Sealed, Clenched Fists is a song about the fact that some people that are trying, that you as a person will have to shut your mouth, but you have your own opinion. You cannot fight against them because they are at a spot or on a certain level. It's your boss or is someone else with some kind of power above you, if I can say it like that. But you have to somehow bend a little bit your head, but still you have to fight back. That's one of the lyrical themes there. A song like The Oathbreakers is a song about people you trust in at first, that people that are like you look like a solid tree in your personal forest, if I can talk like that. But at a certain moment, those people are not the ones they look at first. So when you listen to those kind of themes, you can call them a little bit some classic personal themes. But I think that's just the way I write the lyrics. That's just the way I work, by writing lyrics, by listening to our music, and always the lyrics I write come from a personal kind of view or a personal thing that happened. That's the most easy way that I can write down my feelings like that, and by the music that helps us to give that vibe. I think the lyrics are much more stronger, are much more potent, if you know what I mean.
Talking about lyrics, how democratic is Nether? And by this question, I mean specifically these lyrics, for example, like how much you have to agree upon the topics you're dealing with lyrically, as well as whatever you want to put on a cover of the album. How much things get decided together versus one man saying, this is how it is?
Well, Nether is a band that creates music together. That's one of our strongest elements. We create our music in our when we are together, not by working all by themselves, sending them in by WeTransfer or stuff like that. We only create music when we are together. We only use the lyrics and the vocals on rehearsals, so everyone can see, hear, know what we're working about. So everyone within the band has his own opinion and can talk with each other. This vibe, this riff, this theme, this lyrical theme, we are going to subtract, or we're going to change it, or we're going to change it by position. So when you're talking about a democratic way of working, Nether is a very democratic band by discussing all the things that are happening, musical wise, lyrical wise, artwork wise. So we all create the music we grew up with only when we rehearse with four.
All right. From which kind of sources you're looking for to be inspired, or what kind of bands we're talking about? You mentioned Swedish black metal as the one area or scene, but are there any specific names, like if you want to pay homage to saying like, okay, these two or these four bands together, inspired us the most? Are there any names you would like to mention?
For us as a band, we already stated for the Scandinavian scene, like Dark Funeral, Marduk, Nagelfach. But for me in person, I also have some strong vibes with the Greek black metal scene, like Rotting Christ, Pharatron, Septic Flesh. I really like the Polish school of black metal, Mgła, Over the Voids, Kriegsmaschine and those ones. I can listen to lots of black metal bands, like the new release of the Spanish Dantalion is one great album. Norgevel, the newest EP, Fenrir. So I can talk for hours for bands that I listen to. But when you strictly are talking about which bands influence you in writing lyrics, or not in writing lyrics, but writing music, is the old Scandinavian one, is the old Swedish one. That's with that vibe, like Ceterial. We grew up with those bands, and when we pick up our guitars and play riffs or themes, you instantly get that old vibe. So for the band's basic, it's a Scandinavian one, but being personal and other ones really like the Polish vibes or the bands I talked about.
What about other genres going beyond black metal? How much do they affect your creation of music, or is it just something that you listen to but you don't want to be even inspired by?
Well, I don't think a lot of other subgenres are influencing our lyrical concept or our music. I, for personal, also K or B or drummer, listen to lots of a variety of music. I recently listened to the back catalog of the Israeli prog metal band Subterranean Masquerade. I listened to Winds. I listened to core, metalcore, deathcore, but those bands I stated do not influence my lyrical or musical writing. I try to listen as broad as possible to hear where other bands stand for, what's their concept, what's their lyrical concept, what's their idea, how do they work. I'm very interested in how bands create their music. Do they work like us by only creating music when they are together? Some other bands, lots of other bands, do it create music by what I call the electronic highway. We don't use that. That's very interesting for reading, for listening to. I also am a reviewer of the Dutch and Belgian metals zijn zware metalen. That's why I listen to lots of other bands. I do also lots of interviews with bands, and I'm very interested in the creating process of bands. There's also the reason I also buy CDs or LPs. I have to feel, I have to see what I have in my hands, and you know what I mean. When you buy an LP, you have the paper, you have the cardboard, you have everything in hand. That doesn't mean that I don't listen to songs on a digital floor. When you are in the car or running or walking in nature, then you use that form. But for me, the most important thing is after the creational process, what is the end product? What do you have in hands? And what's the artwork? What's behind the artwork? What's behind the music? How did they record the music? Is it all digital? Is there an analog? Is studio used? Why just this artwork, or why not the other one? Why are you using 4-string bass, 5-string bass? That's how is the band photo made? What's the lyrics behind it? I really like opening up the booklet of a CD or the booklet of an LP, and that's the reason why is I play in bands for a long time, and when I see the end products band work for, that's the hard work they put in it, and that's why I still buy lots of CDs and LPs.
Out of curiosity, you mentioned doing these reviews and also buying all these CDs and LPs, which probably leads to that you have a vast amount of albums. But how can you dedicate your time to listening to those? Because from my experience, having gone through thousands and thousands of reviewable albums throughout the years, and new albums, CDs, LPs, whatever, is coming like in almost daily basis. And I have a lot of hard time finding my time to go back to my classics, the albums from the 80s or the 90s, or well, even before that. And I don't know how people do it when they are reviewers. So what is your secret to this? How you can maintain the balance between listening to the new and listening to the old?
That's a good question, but a difficult one, and I don't have an easy answer. When you are in music, black metal music, like me, like you, for really a long time, for example, when you listen to CDs or LPs for review, you already have a opinion after 2, 3, 4 songs, and then you listen through the album once, twice, 3 times, and then you have a good idea of the music, and then you start searching for answers for the questions I already talked about. Listening to old stuff, listening to the things I really like, as like the bands I mentioned before. I do it when I go to work by car, or when I go running, or when I go walking. Then I use my digital platforms to create some old school lists, or I already do that when doing that kind of activity. So when I review, I take my laptop, I take my LP player, CD player, and then I'll focus on that band. But when I want to listen to the good old stuff, I always do it in another fashion or in another way. When I go walk for hours, then I make a list and I listen to Old Dark Funeral, Marduk, Satirial, Mactatus, Obtained Enslavement, and the new stuff that's coming out. I make time, normally very early on a Saturday, very early on a Sunday, when everyone in my house is still sleeping. And that's how I work.
All right. So what is Nether beyond being a studio band? What kind of other activities you have? Obviously, COVID has kind of ceased pretty much all live activities, but do you have plans to make more shows when possible, or are you more focused on the studio work and creating new songs?
Well, I don't think that Nether can be called a studio band, but it's what you say. The COVID has made us at this moment a studio band. Before COVID, we had some dates for shows. I can recollect we had a show with Noctem, a Spanish black metal band, on our label, but it has canceled. So several dates have been canceled. From now on, we have a new date to play live, starting gig on the 17th of September coming up. And why that? Because in Belgium, like other countries, we are a little bit back between the rules, and we have to be a little bit flexible. And from September on, it looks that there's lots of more possibilities to play live. So we're going to try to try some more shows at the end of the year, beginning of 2022. That's one thing we are going to plan. What we are planning at this moment, we are also discussing if there's a possibility to release the album that was released on CD, only on CD, on vinyl, just so on an LP. We are discussing with a label to release that probably in the beginning of next year. That was one of our ideas when we started the band, that our debut album has to be on CD and on vinyl. That's what we're working on. We are working on some new material. We already have 2-3 new songs for a new album. That's not pinned on a date before, but we are working on 2 main themes: the live sessions and getting the LP with some hopefully new design on the cover to be released. That are the 2 main goals for the upcoming months.
Now that you mentioned these different formats, especially vinyl and CD, we've seen the rise of vinyl in the past, basically decade or so, but we have also seen the rise of classic cassette tapes. What are your thoughts about that? Why are people going to formats of the old versus the new ones? Even CD feels kind of obsolete coming from decades past, and digital is everywhere, but people are coming for those old formats, especially in metal music and some other underground things. Any thoughts about that?
That's one question that popped up some weeks ago in my mind too. I can recollect that when I started playing in Signs of Darkness more than 25 years ago, when we started as a really young band of 14, 15-year-olds making black metal music, we want to release our music on a format, and in that time it was a cassette, like a tape, like you stated. We released several tapes, and that has some greasy vibe feeling when you're listening to those kind of releases. And I think that greasy vibe, that's a sound that fits some subgenres in metal more than others. I think that black metal or some subgenres in black metal are really gifted to glue on a tape, because that format is the ideal base for some sound, if you know what I mean. And I think that for some bands releasing their music on tape, it could be the reason for that is that greasy vibe that can be created on for tape sound. That's also one of the reasons we want to do it on vinyl, because when you listen to vinyl, you get that cracky something, that really greasy sound. That's the thing some bands want to create, and that's also, I think, some other fans or fan bases of fans of that type of music are searching for sometimes a special format, a special way of delivering the music on a greasy basis. I think something like that. Probably it's for me. That's could be an explanation.
All right. Before we finish off, there's something that has coming to my mind. You mentioned that you've been more than 25 years in the metal music scene, and you've seen a lot, obviously, throughout the years as a reviewer, as a band member. And the story for me is pretty much the same, having been listening to these kind of bands for almost 30 years, has given me some ideas how things have changed and all that stuff. But from your perspective, how being a metal fan, how being a metal member as a band member has changed throughout the years, let's say past 25 years?
Well, for me, I don't think there's a lot of change. In 10, 20 years ago, I bought tapes, I bought CDs, I bought vinyls. I still do that. I still buy shirts, sweaters, vests for bands. I still do that. I think the things that have changed is not the band or the band concept or the band that's creating music. I think the thing that has changed is the industry that surrounds the band or the bands, or I think the music industry, for example, the digital platforms changes a lot. There are lots of people that only listen to this kind of music, this kind of metal, black metal, that metal, or subgenres of metal by using the digital platform. But by listening to music through a digital platform, you don't really support a band you're listening to. I think that's one of the most troublesome changes in music industry when you see that from a band perspective, a band member perspective. Listening to digital platforms only doesn't help the band that created music. Me as a band member, when I see the downloads and I see the numbers of downloads and the things we receive as a band, it's completely nothing. It's completely nothing. So all the thing we put in it, all our feeling, our vibe, our money, our whole, doesn't come back by digital reasons. I think that's one of the most troublesome changes in music, the digitalization of releases. I also know it's a necessity. The world changed, music changed, but that's one of the most troublesome things. There are few people buying CDs, fewer people buying vinyl, fewer people buying tapes. So that's the most dramatic change, I think. For me, as a person, as a metal listener or a band member, buying CDs, vinyl tapes, and shirts, I still do that. I still go to work with an Over the Voice shirt or Marduk shirt under my vest or sweater. I do it already for more than 25 years. That doesn't change. But it's the package, it's the surrounding, it's the industry that has changed in the digital way, I think.
All right. Thank you for your time and all these wonderful answers. We don't want to make it too long and all that stuff. If you have any final word to the wise, what kind of tip you would give to a young metalhead now? And let's keep it brief.
Buy the CD from the bands you like, or the LP or the tape from the bands you like, and that's the way of supporting the band. That's the good way. That's the old way. That's the old-fashioned black metal way.
Thank you for your time. So, dear audience, be sure to check out Nether. You might have already seen my review of it. And in case you haven't, well, maybe you don't even need to bother. The band has Bandcamp site from which you can pretty much get an idea which kind of music we're talking about. You can do your purchases, merchandise, maybe even order a CD. And, well, let's keep our thumbs up when venues are finally open and festivals are going to take place. Go to see these guys live. That's my plan also when given the chance, if these guys ever come to Finland anyway. But this is Nether from Belgium, and they play black metal. Thanks, everybody. Thank you there. And I wish you all the best. May we beat COVID and see you live someday. Thank you, dear audience. Should you have more questions to these fine guys, I'm happy to put them forward. And if not, well, go enjoy the music. Thanks for your time. See you and bye-bye.